Good morning once again, and now we're discussing with you a very interesting and amazing topic concerning the accommodation or the commemoration of the International Day of Women in Diplomacy. Actually, it was an initiative from the United Nations General Assembly, and since 2022 we celebrate always this day for women in diplomacy. The contribution or the different and the wide contributions of women in diplomacy, and how it was like because of social norms and belief was banned for a long time that the women work for public works or diplomacy or such things. So this is what we're going to discuss with our dear guest, Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning, Ambassador Wafaa. Hello.
Good morning, and
lovely morning, and
Basseem.
Lovely morning, and congrats on your International Day.
Thank you very much, I'm taking this occasion to pay credit to all my colleagues, women diplomats all over the world, but particularly women diplomats in Africa, the Arab world, and Egypt, where we are pioneers in the region in the field of women diplomacy.
Yeah. Ambassador Wafaa, please, would you please talk with us in brief concerning the women in diplomacy in Egypt?
Yes, of course. First, let me precise that the International Day for Women in Diplomacy has been established by the General Assembly of the United Nations in its 76th session, and
but only a couple of years ago, yes?
Yes.
Actually, too late.
Yeah, I see. So this is the 4th year where we celebrate, and every 2 years there is a big forum and a big theme that is the focus of discussion, activities of women diplomats all over the world. This year it was women in leadership of multilateral diplomacy. Mm-hmm. As for Egypt, I would proudly say that we are among, if not the very first Arab country and Middle Eastern country that recruited a woman diplomat through a general competition, concours, where thousands of men and women presented their candidature, passed through the exam, written, oral, security check, interviews, and passed to become women diplomats. Among our very pioneer women diplomats, I would just cite, for example, Mrs. Mirvat Salawi, Mrs. late Huda Al-Marasi, Ms. Bahija Arafa, and I would say many others.
They are all iconic. You are all iconic women, actually, and we're so proud of all of you. So, Ambassador Wafaa, if you talk about women in particular, and by nature, women, they do take care about details of the details. So, how this affects by the outcomes of the negotiation in the diplomatic sphere. So when you come at the negotiating table, You've got to take care about the details. For example, if you're going to discuss with or negotiate with the Chinese delegation, you take care about the details of getting white or yellow flowers and negotiation, and you try to always keep the flow of conversation and negotiation, and not to approach the confrontation phase or the confrontation time. So how do you think that the women, so they are most capable of this?
Well, it has been proved after so many decades of women in diplomacy, and particular in multilateral diplomacy. And again, I would like to cite many of our permanent representatives to the United Nations in Geneva. I would cite again Mrs. Talawi, I would cite Ms. Naila Gabr, I would cite Ms. Faiza Abu Naga, and I wouldn't shy from citing myself. I was a permanent representative of Egypt to the UN in Geneva. Unfortunately, we don't have yet a permanent representative, a woman in New York. We don't have across the world but only 4 women that have been president of the General Assembly of the United Nations. But what has been noted in multilateral diplomacy, despite the few women negotiators, is that they bring what you would call a very positive vibe to the negotiation.
Yeah.
They focus on positive issues more than, as you said, on confrontation.
Yep.
They tend to look into what would be important for social and developmental aspects. They tend to bring their contributions into the field of peace, peacemaking, and peace building, especially post-confrontation.
Yeah.
And we will note also that recently women diplomats are not only those who work in embassies or represent their countries in United Nations only, but members of international organizations, members of peacekeeping operation and courts are women, and they bring a very important input to the peacekeeping operations, especially when it comes to violence against women.
Yep.
Violence against women is not only what we call a physical violence.
Yep.
We find also what we call political violence, and this is something that women diplomats all over the world are trying to overcome, so they can strengthen their presence, their contributions across the world.
Yeah, Ambassador Wafaa, when we talk about the challenges of the for the women who works actually in diplomacy, of course the partner. Your partner must be like a very special one to support you, to interact with you, and to have a great understanding for the nature of your work. This is number one. Number two, so how you find the support from your partner. Number two, the support of the country. Nowadays, and under the administration of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we're finding the whole and full support for women in general, not only women in diplomacy. And actually, we nominated the year 2017, the Year of Women, and we got the national strategy for women empowerment, politically, socially, and economically. So how you find over how important and essential is this support from home and from the country?
So let me start by the country first, because it is the global picture, the global approach. And in this case, I think, and even before 2017, but it has been much institutionalized in 2017 by the declaration of President Sisi of that year as as the year of the women in Egypt. Of course, we do celebrate the National Women's Day on every 16th of March. We celebrate Mother's Day, but institutionalization of that.
It's a month, it's a women's month actually, not a day. It's a month. March is actually the women's month.
It's a month, yes, but I'm marking in particular this day, 16th of March. And we have, as you said, the strategy on women empowerment in all fields. I find that our country is supporting women in the field, and I focus on diplomacy very much. You will find that we have many ambassadors, women ambassadors abroad. Many women are holding key posts in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministry and the country, of course, do support Egyptian women candidates in different posts where they present their candidature to become either international members of important institutions. For instance, this year only Ms. Heba Hagras has been elected as expert in the Committee on Disabled in Persons with Disabilities. I myself I'm proud to have been chosen by my country to run elections for the Human Rights Committee, and thanks to God and to the support of Egypt, I have been elected for a very high score for the Committee on Human Rights, Political and Civil Rights. Women diplomats also are present in many places. We have Ms. Maya Morsi in the Committee Against the Discrimination Against Women. We have had Mrs. Salawi, who has been the head of the Arab Organization for Women, and you just name it. We have had a lot. The diplomatic security advisor of His Excellency the President of the Republic is a diplomat, a former diplomat, Ambassador Faiza Abul Nada. That's at the level of the national level. The concours is open for everybody without any discrimination. The jobs and the different posts inside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are allocated without discrimination, only based on the efficiency. As far as home, of course, without the support of the partner, of the family, and their understanding of the difficulties of this particular profession, the fact that you have to travel, that you have to live abroad, that you have to accommodate not only your ambitions and your career, but also the one of your partner and of your own children and those who are around you and responsible from you, is not always an easy thing. It's not only in Egypt, mark my words. Now, after so many decades of experience, the same challenges are facing women diplomats all over the world. There is also the stereotype there is also the image of the woman diplomat, who is not always a fair image or a real image of what she is in the media. We don't talk that much about women diplomats. We need awareness.
Yeah, you need that. We've got to make to play a better role. I mean, in media in general, mass media in general, to raise the awareness concerning the women in diplomacy and the contributions of women in diplomacy more.
Yes, of course, we need that.
Yep.
We need that through education, through awareness campaigns, through a fair presentation of the role of women in public life in general, in diplomacy in particular. We still have very few negotiators, women negotiators, especially in, I would say, quite sensitive domains like weapons, like arms control, like post-conflict diplomacy and management, like mediation, women mediators. Now we have a certain regard to women mediators within the Arab League, within the African Union, but not yet enough at the international level.
Yep. So, Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thanks a lot, and congrats on your International Day, and we are so proud of all of you and all our iconic Egyptian women. Thank you. Have a nice day. Well.